fish. Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm Don McDowell. Thanks for joining us this morning. We've got a action-packed show, a lot of good stuff. In-house always is my wingman, the voice of moderation and reason himself, John Colazar.
Good morning, Bass Daddy.
I got to hand it to you. You were absolutely awesome giving the tutorial on how to skin a squirrel to my grandson.
Yeah, he wasn't really enamored with the process at first, but he got into it as went along.
Yeah, he's getting the thumb thing going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for that. A couple of special guests today. We have former Speaker of the House, Andy Tobin, in the mix to this. He's not going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about shooting squirrels and deer and turkey. And,
hey, I was a butcher, man. I can butcher all them things up.
I love it. That's what Commissioner Davis said.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And we've got
okay,
I would be remiss if I didn't introduce our marketing strategist, Dairy Queen Doug Stricker from downtown St. George, Utah. I appreciate you making the trek.
Not a problem. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So far, we've been whining that the leather seats are hot.
I still don't have any ice cream.
Well, okay.
Just down the street, bud.
He paid up on the.
Oh, the bet?
We had a bet. Andy, you're going to love this. For a milkshake. Now, he was voting for Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. Okay. I kind of bought into it before I went to Washington. I bought the Lion Ted boots.
Uh-huh.
And,
He's got real Ted boots here. Huh?
We had a milkshake bet for.
You better be careful putting your boot on a table. It looks like Aunt Kirkpatrick trying to win a race,
Oh, no. I'm
just telling you.
Yeah, quit it.
Yeah, it ain't working for her this time around.
I think I'm 38 milkshakes up.
38?
Yeah, didn't he beat Cruz in 38 states?
Well, okay, fine. Yeah,
okay,
right.
Fine. So
sure.
You can convert the 38 milkshakes to a Dairy Queen franchise in St. George. I'm good with that.
There's only one in St. George.
Well, they need another one.
It won't be from me.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, we're going to get going. We'll get to the fishing report in the second hour. The good news is the tuna.
Well, listen to the fishing report on the way home. I never did bring in a marlin, but I sure saw him come out of the water about 8 feet from our boat. I was with my sons, and it was one of our greatest memories being out there. And we were at a Cabo.
Okay.
And I had a buddy of mine back there who lived there, and we went down. I took my dad, I took my two sons, and we ended up with a Dorado at the end of the day. But it took us so long trolling, and I think it was about 3 or 4 hours, and all of a sudden we're just sitting, we're playing cards on the deck, we're having a great time, having a beer. And next thing we know, this marlin comes flying in, and it's not 10 feet from the back of the boat.
Wow.
It'll wake you up.
And it did, because then I heard the first mate say, well, somebody set the hook. And I'm like, I didn't even know where the pole was at that. But hey, he comes running down, and we had him for a while, but I was unaware how their bills are so.
Oh boy.
Are so sharp,
yeah.
And if the turn, the idea is to keep them from turning that quick.
Yeah.
And but my son got the first fish, and he's trying to just fight it, and it snapped that line. But that was a beautiful. I mean, I can close my eyes and see that fish in the back of my mind. It was just gorgeous. So I grew up back in New York, so I grew up in the Atlantic side.
Really?
So I really miss the ocean. So that was
well,
a big
let's
trip
see. I
for
think October 25th we'll invite you back down. We're going to have a remembrance of the Andrea Gale and the perfect storm, and recognize some of the fishermen that have
it's a big
been deep six back there. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
At least it is in my life.
Yeah,
but
please do.
Anyway, let's move ahead to the political scene. You were a former Speaker of the House, did a great job. That's
Thanks.
where we met a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you and J.K., I'm sure, have had.
Been down there many times.
Yeah. Well, I think if you could argue that in the 8 years I was down there, 6 in leadership, 4 I was in Speaker, they hadn't had a better record of for our Second Amendment, for pro-life, for conservative movement at all. And I'm very proud of that record. And you don't just get that on your own. A lot of people can stand here and say, and take credit for all that stuff. I had a good caucus. We worked very hard together. We didn't always agree. Didn't always agree with our governor either. We had we had issues there, and but at the end of the day, few can argue that what we did as far as completely changing the dynamic of government, reducing it, trying to get it in a place where it can start to work. I'm very proud of that record that we have back there, and it was very, very difficult times, as everybody knows. But I think this governor is really shaking it up and taking it to the next level. So,
well, I think between Governor Ducey and we lobbied pretty hard for both Ducey and Mark Brnovich.
Yeah.
Because we were weak on the AG side.
Yeah. Well, Mark's has proven to be an outstanding attorney general. So,
I don't think he was in the office 8 hours before he filed intent to litigate with the Fish and Wildlife Service on the Mexican gray wolves.
Well,
bam.
Yeah, he's not afraid to get his elbows into it.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of friends over where they're trying to introduce that wolf, and that ain't going over very well. And if your listeners aren't aware, there's almost no limitation to how far they want to take that, gray wolf problem.
Our guys were aware. We're all over that.
Yeah.
We're watching the Mexican gray wolves. John's launched a campaign on wild horses and burros, the intrusion and.
It's not so much that there's an issue, rather than the fact that there simply is an overpopulation.
Yeah.
And without a natural predator, something has to be done.
Yeah.
Some have to be removed.
Right.
And considering that, horse meat is selling in Germany for $25 a pound, it makes no sense to pay $80 million to warehouse them in perpetuity.
Well, before we go on to that, why don't we go get the buffalo off of the north rim of the canyon who are tearing it up over there.
Thank you.
Oh, we want to do that.
And go sell that meat off and help feed some of the
we have 600 hunters that will volunteer.
Yeah, well, I mean,
does
that is so ridiculous that's up there. We should be able to go ahead and cull that
it's the
herd
park.
up there.
Well, Senator
that.
McCain's working on that. I don't know where we are as of right this moment on that.
Ground zero.
Yeah, we're right back to square
one. I live about an hour and 20 minutes on the south rim of the park, so up there in Paulden, and we haven't got any buffalo, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen any wolves yet. But we're just so beautiful up there. We still got our deer, we still got our antelope. A little bit further from north of us, you got our elk will come into play, and
yes, got some big elk up there. Oh my God!
No, Arizona is just so gorgeous. If you really, and thanks to all our hunters who keep it that way.
Well,
without them, we wouldn't have nothing. You know, it would be nothing.
Mr. Speaker, we're working real hard. Our personal agenda here is to educate the listeners on just exactly what's going on. And over the past few years, we still do our hunting, our fishing and shooting, and all the things we like to do outside. But we're trying to educate on the political ramifications. And right now, we're at a pivotal time.
Yeah.
Every Sunday I feel rather remiss because we're in here talking about burros and horses and elk and deer and all that, and the goddamn world's on fire.
Yeah.
And we've got this Hillary cartel and the Trumps fighting it out, and I don't know where it's going to end on November 9th.
Well, I think before we came on the air, we were chatting a little bit, and and John and I were even talking about I was nervous that we had a lot of people who weren't going to the polls. They were watching a lot of the media cycle, trying to say, hey, this is over. And, I'm going to the polls, and I'm going to vote, and I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you why. We have a Supreme Court. I was grabbed the other night after a debate that we had on
somebody
on
grabbed
TV.
you?
It's usually the media.
A Democrat? Oh my God!
Yes. As a matter of fact, it must have been. It was the media. So they grabbed me and they said, "So, where does that mean?" I said, "I will never ever do anything to help Hillary Rodham Clinton appoint our next Supreme Court. I will never ever do anything to help Hillary Rodham Clinton, who has completely destroyed our middle class, has created more poverty than we've ever seen before. More people are on food stamps than we've ever known. The rich are richer. And I was saying I was born in New York City. I mean, my grandparents are Irish immigrants, and my father was a New York City cop, and many Irish Catholics, mostly Democrats.
Yes,
it was very different back then. Yeah. My grandfather was a conservative. Yeah, he was a conservative. He was a Democrat. He fought for the working man. And I'm going to tell you, that isn't going on in that party at all anymore. And you can see it just by these statistics. It's not happening. So they're burying in the middle classes. What they're trying to say is, look what we're doing for you with Obamacare. And they're coming back and saying, and it's not just failing one group. It's failing the middle
Everybody.
class especially.
Yeah.
Look at our children who are just getting married and have a child or two and having to buy into this because they make just too much to not qualify for anything, and they get their best medical package is a $10,000 deductible. That's
Yeah.
not their premiums are another thing.
Yeah.
Now they got it. So when they have that baby, $10,000. Oh, baby, happy birthday.
Yep. Mr. Speaker, hold that thought. We're going to flip into a break. Thanks some of our sponsors. I am Don McDowell here with
Special K.
and
Well, I guess I don't have a sponsor, just me, Andy Tobin.
well, there you go.
Oh, good.
And DQD.
Tell me over and over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction.
All right, after the show's over,
Little duet.
yep, Old Navy. I'll buy you guys bell bottoms and a tie-dye T-shirt.
You a Navy guy?
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard. Yeah, my dad was in the Navy.
Yep, good stuff.
Navy fan.
Before the break, we were kind of talking about the old Democrats versus what we've got now. In your best guess, how's this going to play out for Arizona? Because we're one week, depending on who grabbed who.
Yeah.
We're a swing state, then we're not, and now we're back to like 1.7 variation on the Republican side.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to sort out?
You know,
Speaker?
I just got to tell you, I am not good at watching these polls, and because I've been now in elected office for 10 years. Having been at we're in 8 races in the legislature. Now I'm in a corporation commission race, and we were just chatting earlier, and I remember 2 years ago they were saying that Doug Ducey and the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats were tied. We're tied at dead heat. And Doug won by, double digits. I mean, 12, 13 points.
Sure.
So I'm really looking at these numbers saying, and they're moving so quick and up and down. And I'm not so sure people are given the right information half the time, and I'm not so sure who they're calling some of the time. And I just saw a poll yesterday that I think Kipiak or something had Donald Trump ahead by 2 points on their national poll. Everybody else had him down and dropping. But, at the end of the day, folks, this is about we have an obligation. Our parents, our forefathers went and paid a price for us to go vote. So I think a lot of people are thinking, maybe I won't. I'm here to tell you, you have got to go. And you have got to take your children, you have got to take your parents, you have got to take your neighbors and tell them that this is our very best way to express what freedom is. And if we start giving that piece up, we got nothing. I mean, we have nothing. So this is our chance to speak up and speak about what's really important in our life. And you know what? Maybe it isn't perfection this time. Maybe, you guys know I was on, I was on the Romney campaign. I was his chairman in Arizona.
Sure.
I traveled all over to help this guy. And to a lot of people, that wasn't their perfect candidate, and they weren't going to vote for him. I get it, but and maybe many can say that about John McCain that ran.
Yeah, but it's the alternative that everybody should be looking at.
That's right. And here we are. You have a choice between maybe the Chevy and the Volkswagen, and no disrespect to Chevy and Volkswagen. Okay?
Understood.
Maybe there's no Cadillac in there. No disrespect to Cadillac.
They could buy a Prius.
They could buy a Prius. So, maybe at the end of the day, this is about which vehicle works best for you. I believe that my vote is going to go to whatever we can do to improve and better and protect the U.S. Supreme Court. I am so deeply concerned, having watched what the President Obama has done and watched in the past what I can expect from Hillary Rodham Clinton, that will have effects for generations to come. And I just can't bear that. And not voting and allowing that to happen. I can lose. I lost Dan Kirkpatrick. Of course, they spent $12 million on me and harvested votes all over. But I didn't get up in the morning and cry about it. I'm like, okay, that's how it works. I'm going to go back and do better next time. Or I'm going to work harder for somebody else next time. But the way you work harder for somebody else is you go to the polls and you say, this is my best choice. Pick one. You just don't stay home. You just don't leave it blank. Go to the polls and pick one. And that doesn't mean that, for heaven's sakes, we had arguments with Ronald Reagan. I worked with the President Reagan. That's the hand that shook the hand. I mean, I spent time with this guy, and we weren't always on the same page. Remember, we had some issues with immigration back then. We had some issues with
he did the
budgeting.
Cuban intervention.
Yeah, we had budget issues back then. It wasn't perfect, but he was a great man, and he was a great leader.
He reached out though a whole lot more than what we've seen in the last 8 years.
I would agree, and he didn't try to leave people behind. The deplorables aren't going to have a voice. She doesn't even want them near Washington. So I say go and vote, whether we win or lose. Keep going back to Washington and carrying the fight. I can't remember who it was saying. We're one generation away from losing our freedom every day.
Every day.
Here.
Well, let's say everything folks wanted and we got Donald Trump. You know what? That fight doesn't stop there. Donald and I don't agree on a lot of things. If we're thinking that, the only time we have to pay attention to our patriotism and to pay attention to our democracy is on Election Day, we are missing what America is all about. We are obligated to be helping our neighbors because that's what is inert about Americans helping each other. We are obligated to do that.
We have to fight every day, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I agree. And you guys were with me down there. We didn't win wars for the Second Amendment at the state legislature because we dropped a bill and passed it. It took all of every session and sometimes
a lot of negotiation.
Yeah, of course it did.
It had dialogue is the beginning that has to go on, and then you have to have people who are willing to commit to saying, okay, what can we get to that works?
Right.
And quite frankly, what we've had is an autocratic method over the last 8 years that has been, this is what I'm doing, period, end of story,
well,
which is why everybody's enraged.
Well, yeah, when you have a president who thinks he can just sign his name on a check and say, this is what we're doing. It'd be like you coming down and I was speaker and I just signed things. Or Governor Brewer doing that, we just signed things. That's not what democracy
is. I missed, Jan. I'm sorry, I do.
Well, good. I'm so enamored with where we've taken off with Governor Ducey that Arizona's in a good way, except we have to keep fighting the feds, and it's a never-ending battle with these people. I mean,
absolutely.
You talk about what they're doing with the EPA. A lot of our brothers and sisters who live in rural Arizona, especially in our coal plants and power plants in rural Arizona, who are trying to be good and decent, hardworking people, to have a president. To have a nominee of a party who is absolutely committed to ending their. I mean that if you want to get a look at what happens to a place that got shut down by Obama, go to Bullhead City. You might remember there was a power plant up there that you can't see anywhere. Well, drive across and look at where all of those for rent signs are on their retail centers and on their homes and on their mobile homes.
It evaporated.
See what happened. That whole culture up there was lost because of what happened. Now take that to Apache Generating Station down in the southeast, or take it over to the eastern part of our state and our Navajo brothers and sisters who are up there who are like, okay, well, what happens? What about us? And ladies and gentlemen, that is our baseload power source, period. I mean, we've got coal and we've got natural gas right now are keeping our base loads up, and natural gas is going to grow and cost a lot more every utility is saying it. And right now that coal base cannot be replaced by solar on its own.
Oh, no.
It just can't. So who's going to power us? They almost shut down most of West Virginia by now.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just unbearable. For places that are technologically advancing every day on improving coal burning, technologically, I've been there. You can eat lunch.
The methodology of improving it so it doesn't emit.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. The scrubbers that they got going, the technology, you could eat lunch off their floor, and I'm not kidding. And in both Navajo and Apache, and I've been to every one of them. So what's so wrong with Americans, especially in rural America? Because I consider this a fight against rural values. I think Hillary didn't want it wasn't a village. She wanted the city to take care of everything. So all we have to do, and I wish Donald Trump would do this, go back to these inner cities. If you remember, if you remember, when he started going into the inner cities and showing what Democrat leadership has done in these inner cities, all of a sudden the attention started to get drawn in a different direction. And
Chicago's what, 80 or 100 years under Democratic rule?
Well, yeah. So look.
Well, I'm from Detroit.
Yeah.
I grew up in Detroit.
You escaped.
I escaped. Yeah, and part of it was that it would, you had a powerful union base for the longest period of time, and then it started to get delayed, and then you had, I'll never forget, Coleman Young. He became the mayor of the city of Detroit, and he called himself the MFIC, which meant MF in charge.
Oh, got it. Okay, wow.
And he corrupted it, and he absolutely devastated it. So you combined white flight, and then you combined his corruption. And it devastated Detroit. It will never recover, not the way we know it.
No.
And it's been democratically run forever.
Well, they held up the Zika legislation and that stuff on a budget because of the Detroit crisis.
Yeah.
And now all of us Americans, because the Democrats held that up for a Democrat town, are now paying for that water. I don't see anybody, putting the nickel into what we're doing up on the Colorado. That you wanted, you wouldn't take.
All right, we're back. Pretty interesting.
Left $1 billion
dialogue we're having here.
This is fun.
Let's get to your corporation commission fight. You've been very positive on the commission. What do you see moving into the future 2017-18?
Well, this is a fight. What we've got is we have so much pressure on our energy system. And the truth of the matter is we've had no leadership over there. We have this solar fight versus big utility, and it all just seems so inane to me. That these guys, the governor tried to get them in a room in May so that they quit fighting, and they wouldn't settle in. So basically, I took charge. You've heard these stories about people who bought. You've probably heard about Nevada, where they voted and say, okay, we're not paying any retail rate, and everybody, the solar left entirely. Now the courts have now overturned that, but I've told everybody Arizona's not going to be in Nevada.
No.
So we grandfathered everybody as a policy. So my Democrat opponents will say, well, we grandfather all the time. But they don't understand what they're doing. We grandfathered this time as a default position for the commission, which basically means if you bought a solar panel for your house, we're not changing the rules. Why is that fair? That you made a mathematical choice, or you made a mathematical choice based on what you had today, and that was the deal.
It's like pulling the game out when you're half invested.
It's like me telling you, well, I sold you that car 5 years ago, but guess what? I need another $5,000.
Yeah.
So we have now, just in the last month, made that the default position of the Corporation Commission with any further. So we take that piece off the table. Then you're probably hearing the part about, demand charges, nobody can even calculate what those for. Demand charges worked for me when I was in the aerospace business. I had accountants. I had a lot of people that could help me. We worked to make sure the demand charge fit our schedule. So I can add a third shift, make sure my power usage is really efficient.
There were no spikes or drops.
Yeah, you knew how to play.
Right.
It's not ready for prime time for our especially our residential users. And it may be one day, and I hope it is. I hope we get another option for them to use. But we basically put a stake in the heart of the demand charge too. So sadly, a lot of the demand charge pressure has come from staff at the commission. Not the commissioners, but staff thought it was a good idea to include it. So much so that they wanted to approve a demand charge with a zero cost to it on this latest case that's now pending. For what purpose? I just wrote a letter into the docket saying we're not doing that. You either prove your case or you don't. So what's left? So the next thing is, what is the value of that solar on your roof? Should it be the retail rate? Should it be this? 3 years ago in January, they set up a docket to study this. 3 years ago.
Still, and nothing's happened?
Well, they just came out with it because last month I forced their hand and say, finish the report. Let's get it in here. Perfection just ruins any opportunity to do anything quickly. You're never going to have a perfect document. They just finished it on Friday. It's about 200 pages long. I'll be studying it through the weekend. The hope is that we can land in a happy campground where there's a new value of solar that's real, and everybody believes in it, and everybody says that's a good idea, or as many as you can. And then what we do is we take half of that savings and give it back to the consumer and the utility so they can reduce our costs. If there's a savings on it that they forecast, let's say today it's 15 cents is what your retail rate is. Let's say this new value of solar says it's 10. So there's 5 cents in savings out there that they're forecasting they're going to be spending going forward.
Okay.
Let's give half of that back to the consumer and the utility. That's the plan and let's take the other half and talk about energy efficiency that can be studied in storage. It is the next best place to go, where you can then look. You may not have solar on your rooftop. A lot of people do. But the next biggest step is you want to have power at a cheap cost when you're paying the highest rate, which is peak demand.
Peak demand.
Then what is the science that people don't get? The highest problem that we have in Arizona is 4 months when it's hot.
May to December. May to October.
Yeah,
May to October.
You get what I'm saying. And, from what, 5 to 9, 4 to 9, whatever it is. So we're peaking on solar power at 12 to 2. But when it's starting going 5 to 9, we're starting to – everybody's turning on their AC. They're coming home from work. They're cooking. They're doing all this. So, but the solar's going down. My plan says let's help with our savings that we have from this now new retail rate. Let's help spur more of this storage efficiencies that is now in development right here in Arizona. Let's see what that costs the consumer, because I'm going to guess that if you thought you could put solar up there and you thought you could store some of it while you're working at noon and you're collecting solar power that you're not using and you're putting it in a little bank that you can spend when it's really high, my guess is you will save an awful lot of money.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's where right now our new technologies are going. We have a facility in Arizona that is selling 6,000 of these next year around the world. Not here, around the world, to businesses around the world. It's an ASU spinoff that's in Sky. I just heard it the other day.
What's it called?
Techno. I'll look it up. Let me find out what it is. But because they didn't have the sign on the wall.
Hey, I mean, we're seeing in the advance of technology that way, and it's an opportunity for us to look at it. I was real curious. You mentioned the Navajo station, that they're having some issues up there. I talked to Congressman Salmon about 2 years ago, and he was livid with what they were trying to do. Can you give us a little more on that?
Well, as far as they're the Navajo, as far as what's going on, they've got a coal power plant in Cayente, their coal plant there, where they mine coal, they have one user, which is the Navajo generation. It's the only user. It's a 40-mile long railroad, so you can imagine if they're turning off the use of that of Navajo with the coal.
Yeah, the Navajo generator.
They're not digging coal.
No.
They're not digging coal, which I think is a fluidic energy tour. That's what it was, fluidic energy. They are at 90th Street in Scottsdale. They're a spinoff of ASU. They just announced this week that they now have an 8-hour storage facility that is transportable. It's probably the size of a small closet. It's like 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. I mean, you imagine that about 6 feet high. And they monitor these things here in Scottsdale. Even if you're in Malaysia with this system, they can monitor it in Scottsdale and help perfect.
So it's a storage device for energy?
It is. So they retain the energy, whether it be solar or whatever. Maybe over there they're using a generator or something, but they can store the energy. It's up from 4 to 8 hours, and that means that they can go into the deepest, darkest places in Malaysia where they have no source of power at all, and they can put these systems and units in. That's incredible. 6,000 is what they're expecting to sell next year around the world, and it's right here in Scottsdale. So I want you to do the math for a minute. That's pretty good for business. Homes can work off of that. 8-hour value. Think about what we could be looking at going forward when we have that 2 or 3 hour storage panel that you can hang in your garage. Then we have this one for a small bit in rural Arizona, where you might not be very close to the grid, but you might like be out in Paulding where I am, and maybe you want to have a barn or something. Maybe and you can have solar with a storage, and you're off the grid on that. I mean, there's a lot of this is the next new generation We need to accelerate it rather than having this, this fight between utility and solar and who's getting paid and who's not. Let's remember who the consumer is first.
Back to politics again.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is. It's all about politics.
Two things.
Yeah.
Globally.
Yeah.
It's either sex or money.
Okay.
This year, the United States has both.
well,
you had to go there, didn't you?
Yeah. So, but you can see where, so going back to the Navajo Nation, those are good jobs on the Navajo General Station. Those are real quality, educated, 90+% are Native American up there.
Yes, they are.
And I just think that we're just blowing it over this coal fight, which is they've already shut one of those facilities down up there. Anyway, I just think.
Mr. Speaker, on that note, one of the things that we're doing here, we're partnering with our Utah neighbors.
Yeah.
They have the same problems that we have all the way around. And recently, they've got a coal deposit that was supposed to go to the coast for export to China. There's 2 towns involved, and the name escapes me. In California said, nope, you're not running the coal through it because it gets coal dust and our people will sneeze and get asthma and all that. It's totally impacted.
Yeah.
Utah.
Well, that for the longest time I kept trying to figure out what it was that they were saying was so wrong with this haze over the Grand Canyon. And for some reason nobody could show me where the Apache generating station down in southeastern Arizona had anything to do with it. It didn't. And they still want to play that card that, we're doing it's regional haze. But the answer is it's whatever they think they need to call it. And I think
sure.
For those of you who are familiar with our out-of-state neighbors here, but Colorado, the Animas River was running pretty nice here not so long ago. And now it's the color of somebody's orange shirt, and you take a look and see what's going on up there, and that's the EPA. If you did that, sir, you'd be in jail right about now.
Oh yeah.
But they and it's like, well, these things happen. And I'm like, well, these things happen when government people, are out of control and don't have. You talked earlier about communicate with the locals, talk to some people before you go doing things, and now you got a river that'll never be the same. Never be the same. So. It disgusts me to watch bureaucrats having authority over our lives when that's what we think we're electing electeds for. And Obama
sometimes they
has
forget
helped
who they work for.
I don't think they forget. I think they know who they work for.
All right,
not
that said,
us.
we're going to flip into a break and remember who we work for. I'm Don McDowell.
Special K.
And
Andy Tobin.
And
DQD.
Downtown St. George, Utah. You guys only have one Dairy Queen, really?
We only have one Dairy Queen.
All righty, we're back. We're going to keep moving along. Mr. Speaker, what can we do for you as far as getting the people out and casting our ballot for Andy Tobin?
Yeah, we've got we have 3 seats open on the Corporation Commission this year. I was appointed in February. The governor appointed me.
Yes, sir.
To the Corporation Commission, and I'm very grateful. The only one on rural Arizona that's on that commission. So we're traveling all over the state, selling what we've been talking about here today. Just common sense government. Can you make it smaller? Can we do it better?
How much
faster?
interaction does the commission actually have from John Q. Public?
A lot.
Can I come down there and talk to all your folks?
Yeah, there's 300 or 400 employees down there. It's the biggest secret in Arizona. We manage railroad safety. We manage railroad crossings. We manage gas line pipeline safety. If you're incorporated, you're an LLC, you have to interact with the Arizona Corporation Commission. We protect our citizens from our securities division for unscrupulous salespeople. Okay, so we do a lot more than just the utilities. I mean, my big focus has been on these small water companies, which in rural Arizona are in crisis mode. When you can imagine going to places that I've been where the phone call comes in, there's no water.
Yeah, that's a huge issue along
and it
the way.
happens. Yeah, you guys know that. But, we don't have that here now because we got a canal that comes through and we're okay.
Are we having a problem or potentially face a problem moving into the future with water brokers that we don't currently have?
We are facing a problem moving in the future because what's happened, our water tables are reducing. We haven't been keeping up, especially rural, with our infrastructure. There are some of these water companies in these communities who just abandoned them. We're gone. There's no owner left. I mean, I know that sounds shocking, but we have others that we've rescued who have uranium crises. We've had to swap out their ownership. We've had others who have arsenic problems, and every month. For the first 4 or 5 months I was at the commission, and I'm only there 6 months, so I guess it's every month. Every month.
That qualifies.
Yeah, it qualifies. Every month I've had a water crisis. Somewhere, somebody's water stopped, was bad, and couldn't be drank. And
we're talking to our neighbors in New Mexico. They want to dam up the Gila in New Mexico and stop the flow into a diversion, which is going to negate our flow. How big of a deal is that going to be?
Well, that'll be, but they'll have a problem doing that.
They've been working on it for 10 or 12 years, but recently they said, "I'll be damned, we're going to do this." Well,
that's where the feds have a role to sit down with people and say, "Okay, let's negotiate. How much water is there? Where's it going? Who's been using that water for the last 100 years? Who has rights to that water?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's where they consider, instead of just suing everybody or just saying, "Here's the new rule," or here the waterways of the U.S. You've heard of the waters of the U.S. where they think that anything that's a trench is now under the ruling of the the EPA and the Corps of Engineers. It's just absurd. You want a government that wants to be responsive and be helpful. You don't want a government who, without an elected official, without somebody who is truly reportable to the voters, coming up and saying, "You know what, that Animas River needs this." And the next thing you know, you don't know who blew that thing up. I don't know who blew that. I'm figuring that they probably got a bigger job somewhere else. But it was you or me.
That's the way it works in government.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you were me, we'd be down at the courthouse not far from this studio, and then somebody'd be taking our picture and throwing things at us. So it's just, you just expect more from government. I spent my life, in public service, but only, the last decade as an elected official. And, when I was done being Speaker of the House, I shook the governor's hand. I really wanted to spend more time with him, but I'm a believer in term limits. It was my turn to go. And I didn't hardly get up the hill before I got a call, and they wanted me to come down and run weights and measures. I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. Well, in 6 months, I'd gotten rid of the agency because we were able to find where they could do those tasks in other places. So you can fire
other entities.
Yeah, so you can fire people like me and, in the upper echelon and do it better, faster. And then I went over to the Department of Banking and Insurance after I fired myself.
Have you said hi to Wells Fargo lately?
Not lately. Well, I'm not there anymore, of course. So, but at the same time, I was trying to consolidate some of those, and we did. HR can be consolidated there. You can consolidate governmental affairs. So we were able to do that, and then the governor called and asked if I thought there were some efficiencies over the Corporation Commission. And so that's what I like to do. I'm a private sector guy. I was in aerospace. I ran my own insurance business. I have a banking background. And I was national president of the Junior Chamber of Commerce when I had hair and was a much younger man. And that's when I did my work with Ronald Reagan on a balanced budget amendment and a line item veto in 1987, 88, and 89. I just had the time of my life. So I just feel compelled to speak out for our community and for our citizens, and just say, if my ideas don't make sense of consolidation, let's talk about it. Let's check the box off and move on. But if we haven't even looked at these potential suggestions, then maybe we should. I've suggested we at least consider the Securities Division of the Corporation Commission going over to banking insurance. You know why? They got investigators over there.
Galore.
It all fits. Like even the chairman saying, don't be doing that. It's constitutional. Well, the answer is think about it. Does it work or does it not? That's the first step. I mean, we've got a ways to figure out.
There's an automatic policy in the government. If it's logical, we're going to do something different.
Well, I'm in hell over at this place. This is the largest bureaucracy I've been to yet.
We've got a couple of guys. You're one of them. Paul Gosar's another one. Mark Brunovich.
Yeah,
those guys work. Let's take Gosar. He's District 4. But he works for every Arizonan that lives here. Absolutely across the board. It's not just District 4. I mean, it's the fight that he's fighting on the conservation front for the hunters and anglers, for everybody. Yeah. You're the same way.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, I think, this is all about us all on the same team. And, I got a lot of Democrat friends who are not going to go to the polls and vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. I'm telling you, they've told me. They said, we cannot do that. So if they're not doing that and they're not going to go to the polls, I tell them the same thing. Go and vote for somebody else then. Don't just not go. So I'm trying to be consistent with our process, but you have to, and they're, well, we can't vote for Trump either. I said, you know what? You got a lot of people aren't down the ballot. Please just don't not go.
Well,
we can't do that.
We're John said it. We're at a tipping point on a lot of conservation issues, but we're at a tipping point with the United States of America.
Yeah.
National security is at risk. The borders are at risk. The military is depleted. We've got Yemen Houthi rebels lobbing missiles at the Navy. The Navy took out their radar units yesterday. Putin's talking about waging war with the United States of Clinton. This is like, Jesus, guys, you got to vote. There's only one choice. In my mind, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Well, I think just knowing that your audience is out there and, paying attention to the show and for speaking directly to them, if you need a reason for vote, just think about your country and think about what you're going to say to your grandchild or your great-grandchild one day, that when they ask you, well, what really happened in 2016, you don't want to tell them you didn't care enough to vote. No matter where you're going, you don't want to care. So, I'm a new grandfather, and I don't know where you guys are.
Cool. Old grandfather. I'm an old grandfather.
Does the world change when you look at those? Oh boy. So I'm now, I've rejuvenated. I wasn't a grandfather a year and a half ago. Now I got 2. And I'm rejuvenated, and I'm looking at that youth and saying, Andy, you're a long way from done, cowboy. You need to pull them back up.
Your job just got different.
You wait till they catch their first fish or skin their first squirrel.
Yeah.
Man, we had my oldest grandson had to skin his first elk.
Yeah,
he did a great job too.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I live in Paulding, so up there we. I say it's the safest city in the world. We got a little shooting range up there in Paulding. If you haven't heard of Gunsight before,
called Main Street.
Yeah, well, it's pretty safe up there. So it's a long way from here, and I'll get home one of these nights. But my wife understands that there's a fight to be fought. So.
Well, I personally want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and very, very hectic to come down and talk to the listeners and join us here. We're
educational at the very least.
Good. Well, thanks for that. That's I'm very proud of working hard at it. I have another job, so it's not the only thing I do. And being a grandpa and a husband and a father is the job of a lifetime for me. So I'm very grateful that I'm doing it in the state I love and the country that I will. I will fight for. So
you, sir, have our endorsement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you had me.
If there's anything we can do moving into the first week in November, let us know. And thereafter, we got your back.
Thank you so much, guys. Glad to be here.
Anything to add on behalf of Voice?
No, I appreciate you.
Reason?
I appreciate him taking the time. And if all goes well and you're looking for a new job, there's one called the Arizona Gaming Commission that I'd love for you to take a look at.
JK.
Amen.
Amen. Oh, yeah.
This is the same guy that's going to put a solar panel on his Prius.
Why not?
I
Hey, if I can store energy, I'll do it any way I can.
Hey, I'm going to tell you. I might be right behind you.
All right, hey, we're going to wrap up this first hour. November 8th's coming. Republican Party, Andy Tobin for commission, Corporation Commission, Donald Trump for president. I'm Don McDowell. We'll be back. All righty, we're back. Great to have Mr. Speaker himself in the House.
He is the Energizer Bunny. That man is on fire.
Well, we've got a lot of work to do. Let's do a little follow-up. We've just finished up with the ADA youth camp. How many kids did we have rifled through there? Somewhere around 60, 65?
Well, if you look at the registered hunters that came in, we had 48 registered hunters, and with them came siblings and parents and friends and grandparents. I mean, there were a lot of bodies up there, and it was great. Everybody got fed. Everybody had help if they needed it. I know of at least several occasions where people came in and said, we got an animal down. We don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens to be on the other side of the world. Can you help us?
Was there a recap of elk and deer harvested?
Not yet.
I know Saturday or Friday when I
there was 4 and 4 on Friday that I knew.
Well, when I got back, there was 5 elk and 4 mule bucks that had been taken down.
Yeah. So. I didn't see any coos deer come in, but, again, we were out in the field a whole lot. There wasn't a lot of time or opportunity to sit there and stargaze.
No, it was busy. So what do you think? We may have hit 50 kids versus 60 last year, 60-some?
I think we did more than that if you look at it. We certainly had people who came in who were from other hunts, because there was a youth hunt going on in 4A. There was one youth going on in 3A, 3C. So there was an incredible opportunity for people to come up. And, I mean, we're not gauging everybody. If they wanted to have a meal, we did it. If they needed help with an animal, we took part in it. I know that Danny Rodriguez, he's the WM for 23. He came in and talked to people. He stayed quite a while this time, and
Danny was up there for the better part of a day.
Oh yeah, almost all of Saturday he was up there. So, and there was, it's like anything else. There were squirrel hunters there up there. When we get the recap on the number of meals that we served. By the way, I missed a bunch of those.
Oh yeah,
because we were either too early or too late.
I had one.
You had one meal?
Yeah, that was it.
I think I grabbed a breakfast burrito on Friday morning, and that's the last meal that I recall. Oh, wait a minute. Saturday night, I did get a little bit of the chicken fettuccine. That was it.
I understand that was quite tasty.
Spicy, tasty, yeah. And Donnie had it for breakfast as well.
I don't doubt that. Well, I want to thank you very much for being a huge part of our family. And
there was a blast.
Your elk calling expertise.
That was hysterical because, Mason said when that cow elk was, calling to that one that was taken down, he goes, JK, I thought it was you. It sounds just like you.
Oh, yeah.
See, those damn elk, they're starting to mimic me now.
Well, now didn't he have a close encounter of a bull elk kind with a pissed off bull 10 or 12 feet from him?
That was really, really cool because we had been chasing a small herd. A herd bull had about 6 or 7 cows, and we went up a hill after it. And by the time we got to one point, I just said, enough. We've gone up several hundred feet, and all of a sudden there was a bugle from below us. And I actually was able to call that bull in, and we had Mason about 20 yards in front of us. And that bull performed for him. He was raking trees, he was screaming, and I decided I'm not going to let him off. I'm not going to let him go. So every time he turned and started getting disinterested, I just go, yeah, boom, right back. And
nice.
We had him playing with him for about 10 to 15 minutes. He kept screaming, which was really good because then another scream was started below him even. So he filtered off, and we went, because he didn't have any cows with him. He was about a 300-inch bull. We went down to the one that was squeaky.
An upset bull.
Oh, he was not a happy camper. And he kept screaming the whole time. So we got in between 2 bulls, which is optimum, and we got down closer to the bottom, and we ran into him. I saw an animal. I said, shoot. He said, is it a cow or a bull? And by that time, it was too late because they started moving.
Yep.
But he had a running shot, was not able to connect on that. And he saw the bull that we thought I was going to call squeaky was significantly bigger than the 300-inch bull.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. And Mason said, yeah, he was big, and he had red tines. And I'm going, wonder what he's been rubbing his antlers on to make them red.
Manzanita.
Probably.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, yeah, we had good days. We had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and we covered a vast expanse of territory. I was looking at my step count, and it was like over 25,000 steps each day. And on Sunday, when he got his cow.
Okay, wait. How many steps in a mile?
2,200.
I knew you'd know the answer to that.
Of course I would. Yeah. It was 13 and a half miles each day. And in terms of step up flights of stairs, we did 287 flights of stairs on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a lot of up and down. A tremendous amount of up and down. So it was good.
Well, you guys did one hell of a job. Let me get to I'm going to do my best impression of James Guggenauer from Rim Country Custom Rods, and he writes, for October 13th, the bass fishing conditions on Roosevelt have been upgraded to excellent The anglers are reporting that the fishing has not been this good since the spring. And all the species, since the change in the water temperature, the bass are feeding actively for long periods of time, even though they may have a little bit of a slow metabolism. You know, in a nutshell, right now you can fish your strength over at Roosevelt. You know, they're catching fish shallow, they're catching them on spoons deep.
You're just not going to catch them on fast crankbaits, right?
I wouldn't be too sure about that. I'd still be beating the water in, 2 to 8 feet. With a
slower retrieve.
Small white bandit, preferably with a rattle in it. One of the things that works this year that James hasn't talked about are the rattle traps.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that lately.
Well, the rattle traps, you can burn a rattle trap down a bank, silver with a blue back or a black back. Either one works really well. And then there's a variation with the blue and chartreuse that oftentimes is pretty hard to resist for a largemouth. Even the smallmouth are biting pretty good. So crappie anglers are reporting additional success locating schools in about 20 feet of water using small curly tail baits. That's an old Jerry Tate trick. The single tail grub in a miniature quarter-inch size works pretty good, and several colors were reported successful, including one of the ones that they like is the John Deere, yellow and green, black and blue chartreuse, and back on the silver and blue color combinations. And let's see what he says. The lake levels continue to fall. Right now we're at 35% full.
Seriously, still 35?
Yeah, 35. Salt's running at 100% of its normal rate this time of year, and I'm not sure how many cubic feet per minute that is. Should be fairly substantial. The Tala Creek is slowed to about 50%. Again, depending on the volume, the water clarity in the main lake remains very clear, slightly stained water up on the salt end, and I'm sure down on the Tana end too, it's probably fairly murky.
Yeah, I would assume.
So yeah, anything that is going to make a noise at this point, even dragging lizards off of main lake points, where the lizards got. His big lizards have a lot of ribs and ridges on them, which creates water dispersion and vibration, and they also have a rattle chamber in it, which makes all the difference.
They can hear that in the water. I know they can. I mean,
Yeah,
I can hear it. If I can hear it, I know they are.
Absolutely. Years ago, Bill Dance came out with a talking jig.
Mm-hmm.
He had a watch battery in it. It went click, 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 click. And I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be great. I ordered 2, the deluxe velvet box, extra batteries. Got them in on Wednesday, went to the lake on Friday afternoon, found a nice big bedded bass, flipped it in there, and when that jig started talking, I never saw that bass again.
It took off forever.
Yeah, scared the crap out of him. Now, had I thrown a hot dog down there, that would have been a different deal.
We know the hot dog drill.
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow,
Oh,
yeah.
boy. Here we go.
But Bobby Wright's in the house. We're going to talk about the top 5 bait that Arizona Game and Fish just put out on their website for catfish. What do you think about it? Did you have any input on that?
I did not. The first time I saw it was when you sent it to me yesterday, and then I saw the post on
You know
Facebook.
what? I don't like to text and drive, but I had to about wreck my truck. I was laughing so damn hard because I started off with 5 baits. I looked at number 5 was marshmallows, and I went
Serious?
all the way. Went all the way up to number 1, and sure enough, it was hot dogs. I got to send this to Bobby. So.
Go ahead.
I thought it was live bait.
It
was
is
the optimum.
That's I think that the
You're
point
getting
of
back
that
to my
article-
dad's stuff, which was chicken gizzards.
chicken gizzards with garlic and let it
Yep.
sit outside for a week. And,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
make
Yeah,
some-
stink bait.
Yeah, bad stink bait. But I think they were more going towards the weekend channel cat.
Urban lake.
Yeah.
Lake.
Yeah,
I think that the title of it was for Urban Lake.
So
but-
just to recap, the top 5 are marshmallows, anchovy sardines, shrimp, looks like breaded shrimp, stink bait in a tube,
Nasty.
and hot dogs.
The shrimp I would eat.
I would.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd probably all three.
Breaded shrimp is really good.
Yeah, I'm
know,
not throwing
also
breaded
hot-
shrimp anywhere other than into my mouth after I dip in some
Let's
cocktail
hope they're not
sauce.
hitting
I
on
am
us that
I am
day.
smelling a gourmet meal: hot dogs, anchovies, and marshmallows. Yum.
Sardines.
It doesn't
Oh, you
sound
know
like
what?
the catfish are gonna get
Anchovies, I
anything.
like it.
Top it off with a big old pile of stink bait on top of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
boy.
no.
There you go.
Yeah. Now
go.
you're cooking with gas.
You're trolling a garbage truck then. I'm sorry.
Alrighty, that said, we're going to flip into one little bit of a break back here. Bobby Wright on Bartlett Lake. Ought to be fun. We'll be right back. Alrighty, hey, right after I give my best James Guggenauer impression,
He shows.
yeah, I got him on the phone.
Hi,
What's happening,
James.
buddy?
Hey, good morning, Don. How you doing?
Well, the only thing I didn't talk about was how wonderful the weather was, nice and crisp, and I'm sure you're hearing elk squalling out in the backyard. Am I right?
Every night they're out there.
That's amazing because there were a lot of times where they were real quiet when we were on the hunt.
This year, I don't know what's different about this year, but it is definitely seems like a longer rut. Usually, once a hunting season starts, it kind of quickly dies down, but it's not like that.
No.
I mean, I'm hearing them every night and every morning out there. So,
James, we're not giving the elk enough credit. They're smarter than we think they are. Obviously, they're in town. They're in the city limits. No firearm disruption, and
there you go.
they get to eat out of your garden. Come on, really?
Yeah, it's like a drive through Guggenauer.
Yeah.
That works out pretty good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right. Hey, what's on your report? I gave a condensed canned version and then added a little bit of my own.
Stink bait.
The thing that I didn't see on there was the rattle trap.
Nobody mentioned the rattle trap.
Well, I bet they weren't. It's probably produced more than anything else. Why would they talk about it?
That's a good point. Now there's a pro bass fisherman for you. But the fishing conditions we've been talking about good to excellent to very good, but it was a strong excellent report this week. What seems to be happening is the water temperatures are down to the low to mid 70s, and with the full moon phase that we're in, it seems like it has really turned the bass on in the last week or so down there. Everybody I talk to is just catching large numbers of fish, great fun. Everything just about seems to be working. The fish are scattered, like we talked about last week. They're in shallow water all the way down to deep water, and techniques in the shallow end, like a crankbait or jerkbait, are working. If you like to fish around 20-foot depths, drop shot and Texas rig and jigs are working. And if you like fishing 40 feet, spoons and those types of things are working down at those depths. So lots of fun out there, and lots of guys reporting good catches every day they go down there.
Cool.
So the water temperature, as I said, we're seeing now it's in the low 70s. Low 70s. One morning last week was 70 degrees, and it's increasing to the mid 70s in the afternoon. And I mean, it's clear that the fish are sensing that, and that's making a change. They're starting to feed heavily to get fat so they can get through the winter for sure. And so that's what we're kind of seeing. Same thing is true with our crappie fishermen. Talked to a couple.
We just saw that thing at Poncho's Mexican Buffet last night over on East Indian School.
Saw what thing?
Yeah, people feeding, extra heavily because winter's coming on.
Because the winter's coming?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I guess the fish are a lot like us. We kind of do that too.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Hey, so crappie fishermen, there is no trick to catching crappie. We're seeing big schools of crappie, and for the first time in, I'll bet you, 2 or 3 years, I'm getting reports of seeing schools of bluegill. And we've been saying that the bluegill population of Roosevelt Lake has just been decimated over the last 5 years. But all of a sudden, these little schools of bluegill are showing up in the backs of coves. people haven't seen. So that's a good sign for especially crappie, schooling type fish. That here's 3 colors for your anglers. If you're going to go crappie fishing, the green and yellow, that always works, the John Deere color, black, blue, and chartreuse, and a silver and blue. Any curly tail grub in those colors on a 1/8 ounce jig, and I guarantee you in 2 hours, if you're fishing brush and structure, in 2 hours you're going to catch 20 crappie.
Neat. Okay.
Yeah, it's that good for sure.
Any word on trout fishing at this point?
Yep. Trout fishing is also good. You know, we talk this time of year. Typically, a lot of hunters like to go hunt in the morning, fish in the afternoon, and then maybe go hunt again in the evenings. But that's not happening this year either. I'm getting reports that guys are going up to some of the lakes on the rim, and they never see an angler all day. And so if you like going up onto the rim this time of year, and I'll take a jacket because it's getting cool up there, but it's great trout fishing. There's a lot of holdover trout that are still being caught, and small spinner baits, power baits, and small crank baits, you just can't go wrong with those. And you'll probably not see many people fishing up there at all.
No, I know, from the ADA elk and youth camp, we found most of the hunters not fishing, they were napping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Some of us were able to nap. Others were not.
I'll tell you what, there's not a flat spot up there.
No.
How's the catfishing up there, James?
I don't get too many reports on catfishing, but I did this week, and guys are saying that they're going out there in the evenings after dark, and they're catching a few. And they're up on the salt end, up towards like where the schoolhouse ramp is.
Yep.
That's on the roadside up there in those stick-ups.
Yep.
And, guys were telling me they were catching 4 or 5 and fishing and, however long the 6-pack lasts you, that's what they said they did.
Good deal.
Good stuff. Anything else to add?
Yes, one more thing on the lake. We dropped another 1% this week, Don. We're down to 35% full. The Salt River continues to flow at 100% of its normal rate. Donald Creek's at 50%, but what is still going on is downstream usage. They're still taking over 1,000 cubic acre feet per day out of the lake. Sometime around October, that normally stops. I'm waiting for it any day to stop there. So we hope that 35% is the low point, and we get some moisture, and we start filling that lake back up again.
Okay. Good stuff. All right, we appreciate you as always. Great job, James.
Thank you. Talk to you next week.
All right, James Guggenauer, Rim Country Custom Rods. Flipping right over to Bobby Wright. What's happening up at Bartlett? You still fixing boats?
Fixing boats, fixing docks. Yep. Catfishing.
Good stuff. We've been talking to Brian from the Bartlett Marina. I guess they've got their new restaurant open. Have you been able to sample the menu?
I've sampled it probably 150 times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other than that, he hasn't been able to.
So I think I've tried everything
keeps going
on there.
back, so that that speaks for itself.
I'm trying to watch my figure here, Don.
And a fine figure of a man you are.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we have
they got a heck of a breaded buffalo chicken sandwich that I can't seem to pass without stopping and getting 2 or 3 of them.
Well, I was trying to get him to commit to bass fillets and catfish fillets, and
they got catfish on the menu. They're just not serving it anymore. So I don't know what happened there.
See what happens with that catch and release stuff? Look at that. They're out of catfish. You know why? You're putting them back in the water.
Exactly.
Well, that's part of the catfish conservation method
CCA.
is serve trout. So.
There's another table fare, but we won't talk about that.
All right. I know in talking with some of the guys up there, you're involved with lake levels and spawn issues during certain times of the year. We'll call it the spring and unstable lake levels. What's your opinion on from what you're seeing?
Coming from a guy who's out there at Bartlett, 3 to 5 days a week, spending 2 to 3 weeks a month out there, with whether it be my work schedule or running tournaments or tagging or whatever we got going on out there, we just see a especially in the springtime, like you said, the major water fluctuations with release or non-release of water coming in or out of Bartlett. In our opinion, what we've seen is a pretty big hit on the spawns pretty much throughout all the fish in the lake. Whether it's carp that we're targeting for bait, bluegill,
Sure.
Especially the crappie. I've spent a couple nights in the last couple months trying to search out the crappie and haven't really had much success in it. It's kind of one of those things, Don, where, who do we point the finger at? What do we do to rally against it?
Well, there's only one direction. Salt River Project is responsible for the water flow, the dam inspection, dam repairs. But and quite frankly, Bartlett's in a unique position because it actually has a dam on both ends.
It does.
Yeah, you got horseshoe dam, a little bit of river channel,
Very small bit of
Bartlett
river.
dam. So
Another dam.
yeah, anything that happens upstream, downstream, definitely.
About the whole way.
Yeah, it has an impact, and we've already got some mysterious issues going on.
Right when liberty starts slipping away, and if you ain't gonna fight, get out of the way.
That is good advice for the GOP guys that are getting in the way. All
Absolutely.
right, back to you, Bobby. Okay, so we've got the bass. They hit 55 degrees. They start triggering pre-spawn and spawn mode, all that kind of fish stuff. What triggers the catfish?
Lady catfish.
John made it funny. No, as most of us know, or most people that are in the catfishing world know, it really depends on what body of water you're in. It seems like at Bartlett they're triggering at about 68, 76, somewhere in that point there.
Warm water spawners, JK.
Yeah.
I like that.
You see
Is that
his
called
eyebrows
sauna stuff?
perk up over there. Yeah, but it really seems like if they could just control the lake levels around spawn time, try to just spend a little more.
Okay, from a month, what month are you
Looking at.
see your heavy spawn?
Really, all depends. I think this year we saw it in April to May, right, really close to the Flat Cat
March,
Classic.
April, May.
Yep.
That's about the same time the bass.
About the same
they,
time.
They go off a little bit earlier.
Yep. I think we did have a spawn this year. I think the general consensus is there was no catfish spawn last year because of the lake levels
It was
fluctuating.
pretty devastating.
Yeah, they're-
How much work has been done, to your knowledge, this year that should have been completed last year? I understand they had some kind of a malfunction with
with a valve.
valve, a gate, a discharge,
Yep.
this or that. They put it in, it didn't work. They had the wrong size.
What was
it doing?
the rumor I got was when they received it from wherever they ordered it from, it had a crack in it. They had to wait for a new piece to be refired so they could put it in. I've heard about 10 different versions of the story.
Heard that particular version.
So, it not being up there and not on the scheduling, you would think that some of it was legitimately just a scheduling conflict or an issue with some of the stuff they've got going on.
Is anybody looking at the timeliness of the dam inspections or repairs? Or are they up on, according to the Dams Act, they're supposed to inspect their dams every so often? I understand they're somewhat behind.
That's what I was hearing last year. I'm not privy enough this year to have much information on that, but being up there, I see, you see the SRP trucks in and out of the backside of the dam going up there. I'm not in a position where we can see them going in and out of Horseshoe, but we definitely see a lot of activity, with SRP going back and forth to the Bartlett's dam, the downriver.
Okay. Are they fishing?
Yeah, that was my question. Is there a donut shop back there? Are they fishing? What's going on?
They might have some concealed poles in the back of the truck. But I'm not too sure.
Yeah, there's hope for SRP. Yeah, God love them.
Yeah, but it really comes down to we tried to, the ACCA is teaming up with, or has teamed up with Game and Fish on trying to get some habitat placement going on up there in Bartlett.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Is this going to require an environmental impact statement? analysis again.
Tonto National Forest, you do the math.
Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure that was already done. I'm pretty sure they.
Don't bet on it.
Yeah, kind of hard to say, but I was told that the habitat for the catfish in specific has pretty much been put on hold and looking like for other fish as well because of the water fluctuating. The Forest Service doesn't want habitat out of the water when it's supposed to be in the water, but the conservation clubs can't control the lake levels.
Those reef balls would look really good on somebody's prop.
Yeah.
Will you stop it?
Okay.
I've had quite a few times where I've beached on, because we beach, fishing for carp for bait.
Sure.
You back off a beach and your prop shuts off and you pull the outboard up or the inboard up and you find the green snow netting that they've placed years ago out there. That's coming.
Well, it's a lot of this artificial habitat that's some pretty old school stuff. Havas has been extremely successful turning that lake around with artificial habitat enhancement with the smallmouth and the largemouth. That's one of the finest smallie fisheries on the planet. And there was some stuff like that up at Bartlett. It's old, it's dated, it's outdated, it's lived its life, and it's time to refurbish it because we just don't have the natural habitat or occurrence all of our lakes.
Yep.
I mean, they're old, the woods rotted and disintegrated and
there's nothing down there. It's not providing structure. Once it denigrates that badly, all it does is mush.
What do your catfish gravitate to besides old Volkswagens as far as habitat's concerned?
Old VWs, really?
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you privy to something we're not?
Are we fishing in a bunch of VWs down there, punch bugs or something?
Das Fish?
Okay. Okay. I happen to know firsthand. Saguaro Lake, there's a Volkswagen down there. There's a Bluebird school bus, and there's an old Sikorsky helicopter.
Are there any wanted posters from back in the 70s on you?
Yeah.
Not that
he knows an awful lot about specific vehicles that are involved in the bottom of a lake.
Got me scared.
Donnie? Fast Daddy?
I found him on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, you found him
there when they went into the lake.
Yeah, I Swarovski Island.
No. In fact, that Bluebird school bus is a fine place to throw about a half a chicken down with 80-pound test.
Yeah.
Get it sawed off on one of the windows that are busted out.
Well, yeah.
One of the rusted pieces of bumper.
That's the problem. You hook the catfish, and they get inside the bus, roll the damn windows up, and you can't get them out.
See, there you go.
They have an emergency exit for a reason.
This is going south in a hurry, boys.
Back to the question. I think they gravitate more towards, small natural caves, rock outcroppings, root balls.
Root balls are good.
Chunks of wood, anywhere that they can get in and
burrow in,
or preferably lay the nest.
The reef balls are concave.
Yeah, they're little igloos.
And there's little holes in them, and
it's kind of upscale.
Yeah.
We need to upscale the catfish. We've got to educate them that you can go from grinding in the dirt to staying in the reef ball motel.
Yeah, so Cantrell condo
with a little coupon on their anchovies.
There you go. Now I think we're looking at more of concrete piping.
Cool.
Situations like that, or
lay them in the mud and then have them.
Lay them in the mud, put a couple T's on it, a couple 90s or some Y's, and just create artificial habitat for it. But
what happens then when everybody wants to go to a party at the same time and they all come in? Who's going to get out?
They got to have the largemouth put them all together, so it's like a big house. Yeah, we're way off track here.
No, you'll find the same scenario at the Holiday Express.
I wasn't a fishing expert, but I did stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So do you have any plans with Game and Fish for catfish-specific artificial habitat?
We do, but it's all pretty much on hold right now because from what I understand, Forest Service, like I said, they don't want to see the habitat when it's out of the water.
I don't think, let me, Tonto Forest gets blamed for enough stuff. I'm gonna put that over in the SRP camp.
Wait a minute. Can't you establish a minimum level that they'll take the lake down to and then work your plans from that spot?
Well, that would be an awesome compromise on their side.
But here's the deal. We've got too many federal partners.
Not federal. You have too many partners, period.
Period, yeah. Arizona Game and Fish is the biological authority.
Correct. Wildlife.
Salt River Project is tasked with water management.
Yes, sir.
As far as I'm concerned, that has nothing to do with what goes on the bottom of the lake. It doesn't belong to them. It goes back to the service.
Turf wars. Rather, water wars.
That
Water
said, on their side of the coin, you've got the Corps of Engineers in
Yes.
a lot of cases. You got the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, not to be confused with Black Lives Matter. Let's see. What
U.S.
else we
Fish and
got?
Wildlife Service.
You got
No,
the,
Fish and
the
Wildlife
Fish and
shouldn't-
Wildlife. What they do.
wait a
they've
minute.
got- look at
There's rivers otters there.
Oh.
This is the fight on conservation. You've got too many people with too many fingers in the pie.
Are you saying there's too many regulations, Don?
Exactly. Well, no, the most
He
all
is.
the
Just don't worry about it.
regulations. We've got too many of them. The ones that we have, if they were enforced by the people that are supposed to enforce them, the fight we've had with the bald eagle
Yes, sir.
guys. Okay.
Yep.
You got 21 partners involved in telling Maricopa County what they're going to do in their economic footprint, which is contrary to the bald eagle Act, which now is rolled over into the golden eagle. It's just now the bald eagles are protected under, and it's just like, you know what? We've got to go back to states' rights. There is a states' right
Attaboy.
revolution going on. You're part of it. I'm part of it. I've got if I could get Cecil the lion, I'd charge the hill with a torch in my hand. But we've got to get back to Game and Fish has got to do their job, get the MOUs undone, redone, and reassert themselves as the authority
The lead
to
agency.
manage game, fish, habitat, and all the Dingle Johnson and Pittman Robinson money we have. All righty, we're going to have one more break, and I'm going to calm down, get off my box, and turn this over to JK, and go have some pancakes.
There's a first.
Yeah, roger that.
How about waffles, Don?
$6.49.
Eve of destruction.
Roger that. Okay, I'm springing for tie-dye T-shirts at the Old Navy store up on Thunderbird.
Yeah, and we got Soprano Doug here.
Yeah, it's always good stuff.
We got 4 people. Let's do a little.
No.
Okay.
Barbershop?
You bet.
Yeah, barbershop. What do you know about barbershops? You've been cutting your own hair again, haven't
Hey,
you?
I sang barbershop.
You do?
I did.
Yeah.
Is that a prerequisite of moving to St. George?
Well, that's how I got into Shake, Rattle, and Troll.
What?
Huh?
Deer in the headlights.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let's move along. So, you've got the habitat. Do you have your habitat already built? You're waiting for permission to put it in the water?
No, it's not built yet. It's kind of on hold, waiting for a little bit of guidance from Game and Fish. We ponied ours in on their permit. So
Well, we've got, I think the permitting process is pretty much over with. The NEPAs and EIS and all that kind of thing are done. So, there's some negotiations going on relative to some things that I'm sure we'll hear about from Chief Cantrell when he comes down.
yeah, I think that's what we're waiting on.
Yeah, I don't want to step on that right now, but we just need to get back to the states' rights and reassert the authority that Game and Fish should have over
I have a question.
most everybody else.
The fish furniture that we talked about that's in Roosevelt, that you want to put in Roosevelt
Yeah.
with Squirrel, how much water does that displace?
I have no idea, nor do I care.
Well, if it affects water levels,
JK?
okay, just saying. It's a thought.
It's like when I throw a hot dog in the water, how much room does it take up? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out when I fill my glass up full of ice, fill it full of water, in the morning it all melts down.
Not mine. I'm in an Arctic.
Why doesn't it overflow?
Yeah, exactly.
So
we need
Is this
classes
what
in-
you guys think about?
Where's
Unfortunately, yes.
Sometimes. Well, it's a carryover from Mark Townsend. We're still trying to figure out why we drive on the parkway and park in the driveway.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So we've got a whole bunch of different types of habitat. We're still manufacturing the reef balls. We've got some moss back
Camouflage.
HDPE type poly structures. What are you guys going to be using?
I think we're going
Hydro
towards,
conduit?
yeah, the concrete piping.
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, we're talking about a large size difference in between the fish species here.
No, well, yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I don't think too many of our flatheads would be moving into the reef balls.
No, but you know
There's no room to get in or
room.
out.
No,
They
it's
can't.
the great part about the
it's already Section 8.
the non-catfish habitat, it gives your fry a place
to
to
go.
hide.
Yep.
So that maybe they'll make it to their first birthday.
Absolutely.
So it's a good thing.
Start
Yeah.
building it. We'll help you put it in. I think we went out. I know the ACCA had several of our members out at the building roof or the reef balls.
Reef
and then,
balls, yeah.
I believe placing them last
Yep.
year.
We've got another.
What's the diameter of these things?
I don't even want to guess. I
Reef
have
balls?
no idea. Yeah.
Reef ball's probably 4 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these tubes you're looking at,
16, 20 inch
20-inch.
diameter.
How big was Flathead Ed's catfish? What was the girth on that?
I was going to say that's pretty snug fit for Flathead Ed's, boy.
Off the top of my head, I want to say it was around 38, 40, somewhere in there, but I'm not 100%
There was
sure.
nothing off at the top of your head. Absolutely nothing but a glare.
Well, there's a little bit
Yeah,
of grinder
it's a little
dust. I just came
sheen.
in from work.
There's a little sheen up there.
I love this guy.
It just fell out. I don't even shave it anymore.
What he does is he's made a mistake. He shaves his head but not his beard. And so it's a reverse osmosis kind of thing. He should have hair on the top of his head and shave his face, which he doesn't.
You're sitting pretty close.
No, my wife told me not to grow my beard back, so I stopped shaving. That's why that's like that.
Okay.
Obstinance.
It's a guy thing.
DQD, have you got anything to add to this
Train wreck.
Well, here's my
episode?
question. If you've got a flathead that won't fit in a 16-inch pipe,
Yes, sir.
why does it need a pipe to begin with?
They spawn till they die.
Well, if I'm the big kahuna in the lake,
The big kahuna still got a bedroom.
What does the big kahuna do back in the bedroom, the fish bedroom?
I don't know, just a question.
Fish sticks.
Nice. All right, you want to talk about the website, the newsletter?
Well, the only thing I'll tell you is that yesterday we did start with a new platform on our newsletter. We call the News Brief. That went out actually this morning. So things are looking good. We're hoping all our listeners go out and sign up for our newsletter. It's in a different format, easier to read on your phone. You'll like it.
Okay.
I'll sign up before I leave.
Are you going to have Donald Trump's Twitter address up there?
Do
Short
not
of be- short of
give
being-
him any tweet addresses.
He already knows
Never.
he already knows what it is, I think.
Yeah.
I do.
You know what? Had I that particular address, I would give him my advice.
Which is why we do not allow that man to tweet. Do not set up a Twitter account, please.
All right. Well, we've got the.
But you can imagine Don Trump probably has millions of tweets a day.
Yeah. Boy, we're talking about 1.5, on an average day.
I mean,
That's a lot.
but the fact that he might notice yours is slim to none. You can try.
Yeah,
Knowing the trouble he would get in with one of his tweets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
We'd all get in trouble.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. Well, I have some good, solid advice on handling certain particular issues. The Clinton cartel, Putin.
Vladimir. I
Well,
like Vladimir.
I am proud of the Navy. The Houthi rebels have been shooting bottle rockets at a couple of our destroyers.
But yeah, I heard they only knocked down 2 of the bottle rockets out of 3.
Well, what they did do in retaliation is they took off 3 mobile
Which they needed.
radar units.
Yeah.
And I'm sure about the time they get a
Yump in Yemeni.
Yeah, Yump in Yemeni. Yeah, well, they're going to say the same thing that Colonel Custer and Saddam Hussein said. Where the hell all those tomahawks come from? Yeah.
Don't bring a torch to an aircraft carrier fight.
Yeah, I don't get it.
If I could step out of this train wreck real quick, I want to give a shout out real quick. We had the 3rd annual ACCA Fall Derby 2 weeks ago out at Bartlett. Just want to give a shout out to the winner, Shannon Templin with his 38.71 pound flathead.
Wow.
And then if I give a shout out to the kids winner was Lars Litjens out of Boulder City, Nevada, with a 20.90 pound flathead.
Wow, how many anglers did you have in your event?
We had a total of 107.
Good.
Well, that's a good turn.
Very good turnout. Yeah, we only had 26 fish weighed across the scales, but with the cold fronts that were coming through and the water temperature changing.
What's your next event?
Bill Luke Bass Days.
Dreaming's free. I'll take 3.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, we've got a members appreciation barbecue and banquet coming up at the Lower Lake Pleasant, November 12th or 13th, I believe. You can check the website. But
we've got another unusual event about to hit Lake Pleasant. We have hydroplanes coming.
Serious?
February.
Hydroplanes?
Yes, sir.
Firebird not doing it anymore?
Lake Pleasant.
Oh,
Really?
churn me up.
There's not enough room. We went down to Firebird and tried to, while they were trying to run hydroplanes.
Yeah.
Too fast, not enough.
There's no runway there, folks.
No, they had some of them up on the beach, and they were actually blowing sand off the bottom trying to make the corners.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those boats are too
Bad
expensive for
juju
that.
when you do that.
Yeah, crazy stuff. You want to give out the address to sign up for the newsletter, DQD?
You betcha. Well, you go to our website, shakerattleandtroll.com. In the upper right-hand corner is an icon to sign up for the newsletter.
I want one.
You can have one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Civil.
What?
We're very nice to each other.
Bobby, anything to add on behalf of your wonderful group of folks? And they are. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Oh, we appreciate the kind words, Don. No, we're kind of wrapping our fishing season up. Tournaments are over for the year. Like I said, we've got the members appreciation banquet coming up. But like a bunch of catfishermen, we're doing it on the side of a shore. We're not doing it in a big banquet hall or something. So, and just
hot dogs involved.
Lots of hot dogs, Don. Yeah,
Those that aren't eaten are bait.
I rest my case.
we got a pack of home wreckers just for you.
Yeah, right on. All right. That's good stuff, guys. We're rapidly coming up on the eve of destruction, November 8th. Get out and boat. Don't sit home on the couch. Go boat. We've only got one choice, in my opinion, it's Donald Trump. So, that said, I am Don McDowell.
Bobby Wright.
Special K.
The voice of moderation and reason, and
Doug Stricker, DQD.
hey, thanks for coming down from Utah.
Oh, you betcha.
All right, we're out of here.
It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and